about Argentina, and they say Argentina has not an economical or political problem, it has a psychiatrical problem.
Bueno.
Psychiatric problem.
Yes. Yes. Well, they are not so far from the truth.
No.
It's true, really, it's true.
Yes. As you know, what Mujica said, that we don't have a problem, we have a myth. And the myth is the Peronist party.
Yes.
Yes. A myth.
As well.
Well, what can we do? We have to stay here. We cannot go anywhere else. I have a friend who said that if Massa wins, he will go to live abroad. And I laugh because at our age, you cannot start something
no, it's
abroad.
very difficult. And to live abroad is very difficult. And now with
oh, come on! You go there with your pension,
ingresos, with our money. Abroad is nothing.
Nothing. Yes. That's why. Imagine you go there with your pension. You're a millionaire in Europe.
Yes.
Your pension from Argentina. You can buy.
We can go and take a work everywhere.
You can buy a pizza. Possible. I don't know. With your pension there, I don't know.
It's very difficult.
So that's why we cannot escape, Teresa. We have to stay.
We might escape to Uruguay.
We are prisoners.
Yes.
Something near, some other country nearby. Maybe Uruguay, something like that.
Yes, but the problem is that our currency is not enough for paying a rent amount.
No. And
we are the worst.
It's very difficult to go to Uruguay to obtain the residence. It's very, very difficult.
Yes.
They don't want us there.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of friends who take the nationality and the residence from Uruguay, but because they have properties in Uruguay.
Por eso, that's why you need.
Yes,
you need a lot of money.
To live 6 months before, and then it's very, very complicated to have to obtain the residence in Uruguay.
So that's why we will stay here, Teresa. We will go on going to the theater and doing what we can.
Yes.
You don't like cooking, you will have to start cooking.
The theater still exists.
Yes.
I don't know in 6 months.
I don't know. We have to take advantage of what we have now. This is to live today.
Yes.
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem. Yes, I was going to say the same.
Brazil is very, very good in economics terms. They have a big currency, stronger enough to for their internal market. Everybody can live with this system. They don't need the dollar for their transactions.
They don't use dollars. But it's not easy for foreign people to go to Brazil.
No. But there are many.
It's like Uruguay.
Yes. There are many refugees from Russia, like in Argentina, from other Latin countries, Latin American countries, also Argentinians that are going there for some opportunities that they don't have here.
Of course, if you have a job opportunity.
And at Chile, a lot of young people is working in Chile now.
But I mean, I am not in a position to obtain a job at this age, so
me neither.
That is not for us. So if Gabriela or you, Malena, or Vanessa go, we will go on having our meetings through Zoom because we are going to stay here. Teresa, Alicia, and probably Claudia too. We will stay here. Well,
yes,
this is what we have. Okay, so well, we were talking about Robert's politics, as he says, and well, he says, what are you going to do afterwards? I'm going back and earn my living teaching as Spanish before, and I'm going to write a true book. So this is the problem for Robert, because he starts thinking of the future. And that makes you feel fear, because if you have a future, you are afraid. If you don't think of the future.
Yes, of course.
So then he says in the next paragraph, when it says he would have to talk with Pablo about politics, it would certainly be interesting to see what his political development had been. The classical move from left to right, probably, because remember that Pablo, well, we read in chapter 11 his activism. Yes, he was a leader, but now he looks after his property, his horses. No,
because he has his horses,
and so that's why he says the classical move from left to right.
Yes, he has
but
something
I think
to lose.
Yes, in the case of Pablo, I think he's tired too.
Of course. And later on, I think it is in chapter 15, I'm not sure, he says that he's also all the time thinking of the people he killed.
Exactly.
He also started having pangs of conscience, no?
Yes, he's tired to kill.
Yes. So he says, like old Leroux, Pablo was quite a lot like Leroux. Prieto was as bad. You remember I sent you the information.
Prieto, I remember.
Prieto was a man, a member of the fascist group who was very hard.
Okay. Yes,
I sent you the picture and all that. He was very hard.
Yes.
He killed a lot of people. Yes.
Yeah.
Pablo and Prieto had about an equal faith in the ultimate victory. Of course, from opposite bands, but well, both of them had this idea, he says. They all had the politics of horse thieves. He believed in the republic as a form of government. Robert, no? But the republic would have to get rid of all of that bunch of horse thieves that brought it to the pass it was when the rebellion started. Was there ever a people whose leaders were as truly their enemies as this one? So, I can say that there is a people like this. People here, Malena, with the E before, people, es un pueblo. Ya no hablan de gente, es un pueblo, cuando tiene el artículo, ¿sí? So, was there ever a people whose leaders were as truly their enemies?
A people is not people, is...
No.
Okay.
People, cuando hay un artículo adelante, es el pueblo, un pueblo.
El pueblo.
Entonces ya no es gente.
Yes, because they have the word people for pueblo o gente.
Gente,
Yes,
cuando es gente, claro, cuando es gente no lleva
without article is gente.
Claro, si no tiene el artículo dice people, y el verbo va en plural.
Claro,
cambio,
people are...
people es un pueblo. Whose leaders were as truly their enemies as this one. And I think I have the answer. We are the people.
We are not.
Claro.
We are that people.
Our leaders are our enemies, like in Spain. So this question is exactly for Argentina now. Well, and then he says, enemies of the people. That was a phrase he might omit. No, because this phrase, of course, is taken by the different groups. Yes, Enemigo del Pueblo. You remember the famous play by Ibsen, no?
Yes.
Pueblo.
Yeah, I remember I saw the play. Did you?
Yes. More than once, because I love that play. It's a beautiful play, El Enemigo del Pueblo. Enemies of the people. That was a phrase he might omit. That was a catchphrase he would skip. You understand the meaning of a catchphrase, una frase pegadiza, una frase que pega. That was one thing that Sleeping with Maria had done. So you see the effects of Sleeping with Maria, how he changed his views, no? He had gotten to be as bigoted and hidebound about his politics as a hard-shelled Baptist. and phrases like enemies of the people came into his mind without his much criticizing them in any way. Any sort of cliches, both revolutionary and patriotic. His mind employed them without criticism. So you see, he started to think in a different way. And this is what Alicia said, how he changed, no? But in the same paragraph, he says, but since last night and this afternoon, yes, because he made love with Maria the day before and this afternoon, his mind was much clearer and cleaner on that business. Bigotry is an odd thing. To be bigoted, you have to be absolutely sure that you are right, and nothing makes that surety and righteousness like continence. Continence is the foe of heresy. A very interesting concept.
Very.
You can be continent, yes, you don't act without reasoning, yes, you are continent. And at the same time, in that case, you are the enemy, the foe of heresy, because you think and you don't say things that can, hurt other people.
But to be a partisan or guerrillero, we need to be sure.
Partisans, yes. Yes, of course. You need to be different, not like this.
No.
Yes. How would that premise stand up if he examined it? That was probably why the communists were always cracking down on bohemianism. Claro.
Claro, ahí se acabó.
Really interesting, no? When communists start thinking, they become bohemian. When you were drunk or when you committed either fornication or adultery, you recognized your own personal fallibility of that so mutable substitute for the Apostles' Creed, the party line. Down with bohemianism, the sin of Mayakovsky, yes?
Mayakovsky was killed by Stalin.
Yes, he was killed by Stalin. He was a thinker.
Yes.
A kind of philosopher, no?
A poet.
A poet.
He was a poet.
He was in favor of communism, but then he was killed by Stalin. Well, Stalin killed a lot of people, so
more than Hitler killed.
More than Hitler. So, the reason is not known. But Mayakovsky was a saint again. That was because he was safely dead. You'll be safely dead yourself, he told himself. Now stop thinking that sort of thing. Think about Maria. Yes. So in a way, right, this is what he knows. He knows he will die in this enterprise. He knows his end is very near. So that's why he doesn't want to think. Maria was very hard on his bigotry. So far, she had not affected his resolution, but he would much prefer not to die. So he had his resolution. He knows what he has to do and he will do it, but he would much prefer not to die. He would abandon a hero's or a martyr's end gladly. He did not want to make a Thermopylae, or nor be Horatius at any bridge, nor be the Dutch boy with his finger on that dike. I sent you all the references, yes? Who Horatio was.
The people who lost, the people who died fighting.
Exactly. In the three cases, people who died fighting or doing something.
Fighting for their ideals.
For the others, or for their ideals, no?
Yes.
No, he would like to spend some time with Maria. That was the simplest expression of it. He would like to spend a long time with her. He did not believe there was ever going to be any such thing as a long time anymore. But if there ever was such a thing, he would like to spend it with her. He could go into the hotel and register as Dr. and Mrs. Livingstone, I presume, he thought. So he's now And this is the problem, because he's now imagining a future, no?
Yes, having a fantasy about his future.
Exactly. Why not marry her? Sure, he thought, I will marry her. Then we will be Mr. and Mrs. Robert Jordan of Sun Valley, Idaho, or Corpus Christi, Texas, or Butte, or Montana. So anywhere. He could go and live with her anywhere. Spanish girls make wonderful wives. I've never had one, so I know. So the way in which he thinks is also funny, no? I've never had a Spanish wife. That's why I know. Yes. And when I get my job back at the university, she can be an instructor's wife. And when undergraduates who take Spanish 4 come in to smoke pipes in the evening and have those so valuable informal discussions about Quevedo, Lope de Vega, Galdós, and the other always admirable dead, Maria can tell them about how some of the blue-shirted crusaders for the true faith sat on her head while others twisted her arms and pulled her skirts up and stuffed them in her mouth. So you see, this is very, very cruel, no? Because he imagines a situation with his students talking about Garcilaso, Quevedo, etc., and Maria telling them how the fascists raped her, no? Really, really strong. I wonder how they will like Maria in Missoula, Montana. That is, if I can get a job back in Missoula. I suppose that I am ticketed as a red. They are now for good, and will be on the general blacklist. Because, of course, we know that there is the McCarthy's problem in the States, no? And people who were marked as red were left out of their jobs. So
they are difficulties to have a job.
Yes, I would say practically impossible for a teacher to be a red.
For a teacher, for a professor, yes.
Yes. Though you never know, he says, you never can tell. They've no proof of what you do. And as a matter of fact, they would never believe it if you told them. And my passport was valid for Spain before they issued the restrictions. That is 1937, because the restrictions appeared in 1937. So his
37.
passport had a previous date.
It wasn't McCarthy. No, McCarthyismo was during the.
No, that was later.
Yes,
was
45,
no? 45.
No, McCarthyism was between 1950, 1954.
50 and 54. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the Cold War.
Yes, exactly.
The Cold War lasted more, but McCarthy in politics lasted from 50 to 54.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Malena. So, the time for getting back will not be until the fall of 37. I left in the summer of 36. And though the leave is for a year, you do not need to be back until the fall term opens in the following year. So he still has a job because he can go back, yes, before the term opens, el periodo de clases. There is a lot.
He has a Spanish passport.
Claro, now because he's there and he can go back before.
And they didn't know who was in Spain fighting.
Claro, he doesn't have to say, no? So
I wanted to say about the context in the 30s that Roosevelt, in his first period, was very kind of getting the communists in the unions.
Yes.
And they were allies. And they were in a good relationship with Stalin because of the alliance of the Second World War. So it was a kind of good deal with the Russians and with the Americans. And it lasted to 1947 that they broke up.
Okay. So after the war, let's say.
Yes, because Russians showed their intentions for getting power in Europe and all that.
Yes.
But it is interesting, like the good the good opinion that the communists had in the United States in the 30s on the
Yes.
Republicans, on the revolutionary groups in Europe.
And the Communist Party in the United States at that time was very hard.
Yes,
And
they
inclusive
were,
Roosevelt was his period was socialist, more or less,
yes, he dealt
a kind
with,
of socialism.
yes, with the communists on the unions, and they organized a new organization of unions, sindicatos there, that were held or their leader were members of the Communist Party. But after the Second World War, they split up and they were enemies. For the internal communists, this is McCarthyism, and for the international events.
And they never came back to the previous situation.
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
And the Communist Party fall down in a very serious way, because members of the Communist Party were called for testifying in the Congress about their memberships, and many people were fired from the federal government as workers for being involved with the associations or unions or whatever that connects with the Communist Party. So,
and then they have a good period of a lot of money. They began the consumerism, el consumismo. People began to have money and to spend a lot of money.
yes. They recovered from the crisis, so they enjoyed a good economical situation in the 50s, in the 60s, and those times were very good for getting the people happy with the government.
Yes, the only rebels were the hippie. The hippie movement was very important and was against this kind of life, no?
Yes.
But it was just folkloric.
Yes. And the unions practically disappeared, or not?
Yes, there were many laws that attacked the unions. And in the 80s with Reagan, they almost disappeared.
Yes, because my son told me that in the company where he works, Exxon, the oil company, they cannot be members of a union.
Yes.
Do you know, my first husband was working at the United States during the end of the 60s, the beginning of the 70s, and he works in an editorial
publishing house.
Yes, and he asked to another, do you have a union? Just this question. And 2 hours later, he was fired.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
they say nothing, they pay all, but they say, we don't need any more. Just for a question, do you have a union?
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Unions there are almost a little corporation.
Claro.
Yes.
Yes.
And they asked to a partner, not to the boss. And this man was.
Yes, he went and told somebody else.
Yes, was a. Decirle al jefe que le habían preguntado eso.
Yes, maybe he was accused for being a communist member or something like this.
Well,
maybe they thought
I don't
he
like
was
it
communist or something like that.
Yes. What a liberal mind. Yeah? What an open mind.
Mm.
Well,
Yes. So liberal, so open. They allow everything. Oh my God.
yes.
My God. Well,
No, that's my comment is just for a pointing that it was a kind of well-seen thing to collaborate with the communists in the 30s.
at this time, yes.
Yes.
Although even though he says that perhaps he is included in the blacklist because he was considered a red. So he's not so sure of getting his job back.
It depends to the university or to
Yes,
the
maybe.
state. Some state may
course,
be
it
very
was-
conservative and
It was worse and worse with the years, but
yes.
maybe he had some social support or political support for getting the decision of going there to Spain.
Ah, yes, of course. Yes, he had.
And
But
he wasn't just a communist. He was a person who put bombs and who killed people, no?
yes,
He was a partisan. It was
Yes.
a little different.
More than a communist, you know, more
Yes.
Yes. So he says, well, I think there is no need to worry about the university. Just you turn up there in the fall and it will be all right. Just try and turn up there. But the problem is not if he gets back to the university or not. The problem is that he now is thinking of going back and having a life. So before his encounter with Maria, he was not worried about the future. He only thought of his mission, but now he had these ideas about his future. But it has been a strange life for a long time now. Damned if it hasn't. Spain was your work and your job, so being in Spain was natural and sound. You had worked summers on engineering projects and in the forest service building roads and in the park and learned to handle powder. So the demolition was a sound and normal job too. So you see that before the war, he was also in Spain. That's why he knows Spanish so well. And he had helped people in building roads, etc., no? So he had been there as a volunteer. And then in the next paragraph, he says, there was plenty that was not so good that went with it, although God knows you took it.
Sorry, what's the beginning
Of the next paragraph. Once you accept the idea of demolition as a problem.
Yes.
The next page. The beginning of the next page, Alicia, 107.
The beginning of the next page. Okay, okay.
Once you accept the idea of demolition as a problem, it is only a problem. But there was plenty that was not so good that went with it, although God knows you took it easily enough. There was the constant attempt to approximate the conditions of successful assassination that accompanied the demolition. The problem was not to take down the bridge. The problem was that the bridge will be accompanied with a lot of people who died, no? Did big words make it more defensible? Did they make killing any more palatable? You took to it a little too readily, if you ask me, he told himself. So see how he questions himself. Yes, and he said to himself, you took it, a little bit easy, no? Lo tomaste a la ligera, but you know that when you blow a bridge, you kill, you assassinate a lot of people. And then at the end of this paragraph, he says, but my guess is you will get rid of all that by writing about it. So for Robert, and of course for Hemingway, to write is a kind of exorcism. Yes, he can get rid of all the feelings and the suffering by writing. You will get rid of all that by writing about it. Once you write it down, it is all gone. It will be a good book if you can write it, much better than the other, because he wrote a previous book. But in the meantime, all the life you have ever you have or ever will have is today, tonight, tomorrow, today, tonight, tomorrow, over and over again, I hope. He thought, and so you had better take what time there is and be very thankful for it. If the bridge goes bad, it does not look too good just now. So now he knows that he has today, tonight, tomorrow, and that's all. Yes. Well, this is a rather, and then in the next paragraph, he says, but Maria has been good. Has she not? Oh, has she not? He thought. Maybe that is what I am to get now from life. Maybe that is my life, and instead of it being 70 years and 10, it is 48 hours. So instead of living up to 70 years, 70 years and 10, see, 70, 60 and 10, 70, it is 48 hours. This is all I have. Or just 70 hours and 10, or 12 rather. 24 hours in a day would be 70 and 12 for the 3 full days. So instead of living for 70 years, I have only perhaps 70 hours. So very, very, very strong also, no? So then, I mean, you see how his mind works all the time. He questions himself, he answers the questions. In the next paragraph, he says, I suppose, no, it is possible to live as full a life in 70 hours and in 70 years. And in the next paragraph, he answers, what nonsense. So you see how this is a dialogue he has with himself.
With himself.
What rot you get to thinking by yourself? That is really nonsense. And then later on in the same paragraph, he says, so I am no romantic glorifier of the Spanish woman. So this is not a romantic question. This is exactly